There is a difference between smart and educated. Because if you think about it, somebody can be absolutely brilliant, but they don't necessarily have to be educated. There was recently a video, like a podcast with Diary of a CEO with like Cody and Alex and some other business entrepreneur. I'm not familiar with him. And Alex was talking about his friends and I think it's like some of his friends. They are very business savvy. They know their stuff. They know every single thing to business. Where they dropped out of high school and he said that they can barely write their names. That is just jaw-dropping. From the perspective of, you don't have to be smart. You don't even have to have like intelligence from the perspective of school to become successful. And I think the more and more we live and our generation is able to pursue so many bigger things than what the education system can provide for us at times, we can kind of break away from the stereotypical norms, that we can reinvent and redefine how to create your own success. And I think creating your own success is probably one of the best things that at least my country has to offer. And maybe that is not the same for your country, and that is a privilege that I have living here, and I understand that. I will take every single opportunity that I have, given my situation, and I know I am blessed beyond words to have that. And I hope that you too can one day have that freedom and that privilege as well. Because what made me really kind of open up my eyes is that the definition of intelligence. We, as a collective whole, we think of Einstein, Newton, I don't even know, like Michelangelo, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Simone Biles, Michael Phelps, Usain Bolt. You and I have different ideas and definitions of intelligence, and people that are smart and people that are classically trained. That Beethoven, Elon Musk, so many different people, like Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, all these people who have successful businesses, careers, art pieces, jobs, athletics, sports, people that are known nationwide are considered intelligent. Why? Why are these people considered intelligent? Why are these people considered brilliant? It's because they've done things that no one has ever done before. And it's mind-boggling because from one perspective, from the education system, you have to take certain tests to get into college to be considered smart. Like, let's say you have to take a standardized test and you have to get this mark to be able to have access to this scholarship or to this college. Like, let's say you get like 100 on this like standardized test, and then you're automatically into like a prestigious university or college. Does that make that person smart? Yes, based upon those layers, those filters, those requirements, those status quo. But you put Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Beethoven, Newton, Thomas Edison, and put them on those same standardized tests, you can't compare that, because maybe they do get really good marks, or maybe they don't get very good test scores. You can't deny someone or that person isn't smart. Because, sorry, that's my computer. I don't know if you can hear that. My computer does that. And you can't say that person isn't smart. You can't say that person isn't intelligent because of their accomplishments. But on the flip side, you can say that person is intelligent based upon that test because they studied, they knew how to prepare, they knew how to master what that test score or that test was asking. But then you throw them into real life, you throw them into street smarts. You don't know what they're going to do. You don't know their background. You don't know their ability. And the same thing for somebody who has those street smarts, knows how to talk to people, and knows how to hail a taxi, knows how to walk safely on the street, like is aware of their surroundings, is street smart. And you can't say you can't compare that apples to apples and oranges to oranges. That's fruit. We are all fruit. And having certain expectations of someone being intelligent or someone being smart, you put them on certain levels because you can't relate to them and you can't understand what they are doing, but they started just like you, with an ambition, a goal, and something in their heart. Think about it, okay? Michelangelo did not become Michelangelo without having little baby Michelangelo paintings. He did not come out of the womb with a paintbrush and painting the 16 chapels. I think that's who that did that. I'm so sorry if that's wrong. I think he did, but maybe not. You cannot tell me Socrates was speaking beautifully, intelligently as a 2-year-old. No. You don't. You cannot tell me that Elon Musk was, I don't know, just like successful right out of the womb. I think he has some, like, I've heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but he has neurological diversities within him. And from the outside, some people might look down upon him if he wasn't known as Elon Musk. But given the fact that he is Elon Musk, people take so much advice from him. They look up to him and they want to take certain things from his business aspects and his morals and his work ethic and implement that into their company. And that is intelligence within itself. Every single person is intelligent. As somebody who is not in the trades, who is not a blue-collar worker, I think some of those people who know how to lay concrete, know how to mix concrete, know how to properly do everything, are so intelligent because they had to take time to learn that craft. Because I do not relate to them. I think they're so intelligent. And yes, from the aspect, it's not something that takes high IQ. They're not dealing with human bodies. They're not dealing with nuclear waste. They're not, but that takes a craft, and that takes time and experience and learning and failure to know how to perfectly lay concrete, to know how to build a house from scratch using wooden 6x2s, 4x4s. I don't know. Because every single person has intelligence. Just because somebody isn't educated does not mean they are not smart or intelligent or have enough human dignity to be considered intelligent. Because sometimes you are not educated enough because you do not have the resources to get there. Like, I volunteered, I was gonna volunteer at this place that taught English, and there was a lady who was from a non-Latin alphabet, who was from just a different country with different symbols and characters and so forth. And so within the Latin and within English, there are typically line paper, college ruled, notebook ruled, and that you write your letters within a line. She was not educated on how to write even in her own language. I don't even think she was educated enough or educated at all in her language. But long story short, she didn't understand the concept of those lines. And so she drew the alphabet in big letters and did not follow the typical way of writing that most English speakers do. And so just from an outsider's perspective, most people would consider her dumb because she is not literate, she cannot write, she doesn't know the right way, I put in air quotes, the right way how to write. However, she is a refugee here. She came all the way to here with her family, figured out how to get here from thousands of miles away to survive and flee from her country and war, poverty, everything. You cannot tell me that woman is not smart, is not intelligent, just because her one ability. It just blows my mind that you can label somebody as dumb or not smart or something just because of one measurement. And measurement is not even a good example of getting the scope, the gauge, the gist of how smart someone is, because you can't compare apples to oranges to bananas to pears to tomatoes. You can't. And I think when you can appreciate someone's craft and somebody's ability that does not relate to you, it is the most beautiful thing that you can do. Because being a STEM major and having friends that are writers who can write, literally a friend of mine, we got lunch the other day and she was telling me, I didn't take a math class my senior year. I really focused on writing classes and being able to articulate and formulate and write papers because she took dual credit history. And I was like, oh my gosh, my brain would blow out. And I've had a few years of college under my belt. And she's doing this at a senior level, or doing that during her senior year. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I was just blown out of my mind because she was telling me that she had to write a 12-page paper for her college final, in high school. And I was like, man, that's crazy. You are so smart. And you say someone is smart because you cannot relate to them, and you cannot do that. And that is no different than someone's physical ability, intellectual ability, and emotional capability. I was gonna say capability, but capability. It's simply when, in simple terms, someone is considered smart when they can do something many people can't. Flipping that to not an intellectual part, but from an athletic part, if you relate more to athletics. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. I was gonna say James LeBron. LeBron James. Caitlin Clark. I'm trying to... Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano. The really famous Ronaldo. I'm gonna go with that. Ronaldo. I'm so sorry. I think it's Cristiano Ronaldo. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. And these people are absolutely brilliant because they knew what they wanted. They knew how to get there. They knew how to tweak their technique. They had coaches. They had people that were in the industry. They knew how to get to where they wanted. And they had to give blood, sweat, and tears to where they wanted to go. And the dedication that these people have is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Katie Ledecky, she talks about swimming 6 hours a day. Summer McIntosh, same thing. Doubles are AM practices, PM practices, and dry land is lifting. All the time. Every day. And it's not that these people aren't smart, because they are. It's that we identify these people as great and smart, if you think about it. But first, on the outside, great because their performances are nothing like history has ever seen. But when you look at the psychological part, they are so smart because they withstand so much pain, physically, mentally, emotionally. They get up. They do it again and again and again and again. Resilient, dedication, determination, lack of motivation to do it, and still showing up every morning, night, and afternoon. Having the discipline to fuel their body correctly. Having the intention of working on something every single day. That's intelligence. And not to toot their horns or something, but that is brilliant within itself. And every single person has that brilliance within them. They really do. Because some things no one can achieve other than that person. At least currently. Like Simone Biles, crazy, go girl. I don't know if anybody can top her for a few years. But as of now, of 2025, I know that she is the only one to do the Biles. That's a female. That's crazy. And sometimes we think that certain people are gifted, whether that's academics, athletics, super talents, music, art, dancing, I guess. I mean, I feel like dancing's like competitive, but that's not really like, it's an expressive art, but you know what I'm saying? Like writing, like creative things like that. Like, not that dance isn't creative, but you get the gist. That all takes practice. And I just think about how Michelangelo painting all those paintings, how long did it take for him to paint those? How old was he when he painted those? How old was Michael Jordan when he hit that career high of scoring points? Older-ish. Like, he wasn't a rookie. He wasn't like, yo, I'm 19. I'm going to score 1,000 points in 1 year. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not a basketball person, but you get the gist. It takes time. Being intelligent, being gifted, being extraordinary takes time. And sometimes that's what we have to sacrifice to become smart at something. And even if you do not feel like you're smart at something, that's fine. You don't have to be. You can just be you. And you can find your own thing that you love to do. And who says you need to be the smartest person at that? I put in air quotes because smartness is so subjective. It is not objective. It's very like personal. I don't know, whatever. Subjective, I know that's at least true. And so don't put pressure on yourself to be the best, to be the smartest, to be the best painter, to be the maximum, whatever. Because sometimes you do just have to live. Sometimes you do just have to experience life. And maybe you will become a very elite person at whatever your hobby is or whatever your passion is. But maybe that passion and that hobby might just stay that, and that's okay too. Because sometimes when you get to that such elite level, it doesn't really stay a passion. It doesn't really stay a joy. And maybe that's where just you and I are meant to be. In the stage of enjoying our passion and understanding where sometimes we need to be. And that might not always be considered the smartest or the best. Maybe that's just being the best of let me retry that. Sometimes we are not meant to be the best. Sometimes we are meant to just be the best versions of ourselves. Food for thought.